Hello everybody, welcome to Strawberry Pumpkin Patch Nursery. I'm Carla and I'm here today with not only this beautiful little baby Josie, but I'm also here with my husband Brian, and we are doing a Valentine's Day tag. I know it's a little early, but I just thought that let's go ahead and do it. I've seen some people getting ready on their channel, so I thought we would just go ahead and do it. So, the first question that we have is, if married, how long have you been married?
23 years.
Yes, Brian and I have been married for 23 years. So, and the next question, number 2, is how did you meet your partner and how old were you? So, Brian and I met through a friend we both knew that set us up just to meet. I don't think it was really a date. It was just a meet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we met after his football game. And at that point in time, I was 15. Yeah, I had to have been 15 then.
Yep.
Yeah. And Brian was how old? 16? Or were you 17? No.
16.
Yeah, 16. And well, I'll go on. I was fixing to tell a story, but I'll do it here as soon as we go further down the questions. So number 3, what did they have? Was there online dating when you were dating? And if so, did you use it? So, no.
No and no.
No and no. I can remember when just the internet came to the school and they made those horrible racket sounds. Yeah. Whenever they would turn them on, the whole computer room would, start making those awful squealing noises. And so, online dating wasn't around whenever we were in high school. And would we have used it?
What?
I wouldn't have used it.
What's that?
Because, see, I met Brian when I was 15. There was no way my parents would have let me use something like that.
Yeah, we wouldn't use it.
No way. And even now, I caution my older children. One of them has a dating app on his phone. And I caution him about, dating, going out with people that you don't know. So, so then the next question is number 4. Did you know your partner was the one? Okay, so here's where the story comes in. What do you say, Brian?
Yes.
He says yes, he knew I was the one. So when that friend of ours introduced us, it was after his football game. We went to 2 different schools. And so she brought me to meet him, but we were going to meet up with a group of friends after this football game. And so, what did we do? We just took you home? Did we?
Yeah. Because we went and watched movies.
I thought that was another date.
We went and watched movies over a couple of times.
Okay. Well, when he got in the car, you'll have to remember it was after a football game. Those football players are nasty sweaty. And he took a shower. But when he got in the car, oh my goodness, he still stunk. And he's very insecure about that these days. He stunk so bad. And you know how your senses, kind of can make you feel attracted or unattracted to somebody? I was completely unattracted to him because he stunk so bad to me. He just stunk. Smelled sour. So, anyway,
Called sweaty pads.
then sweaty pads, he says. So then the weeks after that, Brian would call my house. And he would call and he would call and he would call all the time. And I would tell my mom, tell him I'm not here. Because, there was no cell phones. You picked it up, our phone set in a little phone booth that was in the wall. And, and I would be, whispering, tell him I'm not here. And Mom said, he seems like a really nice boy. Why don't you just talk to him? I said, I have, but he stinks real bad. Anyway, so what ended up happening was I just kind of met a friend of his a couple of times, and he was kind of seeing somebody else, but then I don't know what happened. So finally I'm like, okay, I'll talk to him. Well, he invited me to a New Year's Eve party that his church was having at my school's gym. And so I agreed to go to it. And we walked in. I can remember walking in the gym, walking up the stairs, going into the bleachers, and he was playing basketball on the basketball court with his friend. And I remember seeing him and was just so excited. He had long hair, which I've always liked. I don't know, I was just immediately in love when I saw him. Just immediately in love. He was dressed up real nice. Well, when I say real nice, he was wearing jeans. He had an orange t-shirt on. Not a t-shirt, but a orange, like Longhorn orange color shirt on with the collar. What do they call those shirts? Polo shirts. You had on those brown boots, the things just you like. Not like cowboy boots. They're leather brown boots. What are they called?
Chuckas.
Chuckas? Okay. And then, and I was just immediately in love. And that night on New Year's Eve, we had our first kiss. And I was again 15 years old. And Brian was 16 years old. Let's see, he had just turned 16. And, right? In October, you had just turned 16.
Yep.
So, and then when I left,
That's when we were sophomores.
my mom had dropped me off at the party, me and my friend, at the party. And then whenever she picked us up, we got into the car, and the first thing I said to my mom is, I'm going to marry that boy. And here we are today, 23 years later. But our first meeting did not go so well because he stunk.
26 years later.
Huh?
That was when we were sophomores in high school.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've been married 23 years, but we've been together since we were 15 and 16. So he says 26 years ago or so.
26, 36.
Anyway, okay. So that's how we met. And so my first meeting with him, I didn't know he was the one. He said he knew that I was the one. However, he dated another girl before he dated me. Okay, so let's go on to the next question. And the question for number 5 is, did you play hard to get? I didn't mean to play hard to get. He stunk to high heavens. He stunk. And so I knew he was a really nice guy, but my senses were so not attracted to him after our first meeting.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
By its smell?
Yep.
Don't judge a book by its smell. Okay. So I didn't mean to play hard to get, but he says I did. So number 6, question is the first year of marriage really the hardest? I would say it's definitely pretty hard because, see, I found out, Brian and I found out that I was pregnant when I was, it was after I graduated. It was 2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after I graduated.
No.
Yes.
We knew you were, well, we knew you were before because you missed your.
Hey, don't give too much information.
To actually go to the doctor, yes, it was.
And then we were married 3 months after I graduated, which was fine by me because I can remember when I was a senior, we had gone to a family reunion, and a family member had asked, what are you gonna do after you graduate? And I told them I was gonna get married, and my mom's like, "Oh no, you're not." Well, 3 months after I graduated, we got married, and that was that was kind of like a shotgun wedding, I'd say.
No.
My dad said, "This is what you're going to do." He asked us what our plans were. I can remember sitting outside in the front. I thought he was maybe going to kill Brian. Because when my mom told him I was pregnant, because I wasn't even brave enough to tell my dad. My dad told me, call Brian and tell him to get out here. So I called him and I told Brian, and he came alone. He didn't bring his parents. He came alone. And we all sat outside, and he asked us what our plans were. And my plan was I'd already registered for cosmetology school, but I had to take some English and some math courses before I could go into the program where we live. And Brian had gotten a football scholarship, so he was going to go ahead and go on to college with his football scholarship. And my dad said, "Oh no, that's not happening. You're getting married. That's what's happening." So we did. We got married. And that first year of marriage was hard on us because not only were we learning each other's, because you take how one person, like how Brian was raised, and take how I was raised, and you combine them together, and there's a lot of button heads because you think the way you were raised was the right way, and so there was a lot of that. And then on top of all of that, I was pregnant, and I was scared, and it was 3 months after high school. I had no idea what life was about. And Brian he really didn't either, but he worked. I stayed at home, and his very first job, he was working all different kinds of shifts. So there was some shifts that I was home alone at night, and that terrified me.
1 week I'd work days, next week I'd work evenings.
Yeah.
And the next week I'd work nights.
Right.
And then just start all over again.
Yeah, so and then here I am pregnant, and I'm scared because I'm pregnant, and I'm scared because I'm alone at home, and it was really hard on us then. And then after the baby was born, I was still 18, and my mom would come during the day. At 2 days, she came during the day and helped me. That was it. I was on my own then. And it was very scary. I didn't know it then, but I had postpartum depression really bad. I was terrified to take my daughter out of the house at all, and I would stand over her crib and just cry and cry and cry for no reason. I didn't want people coming over to visit because I was scared she was going to get sick. But she was a sick baby. She had kidney issues. So when she was 3 months old, she had to have, no, it was 3. She had to have kidney surgery. So it was very intense, that first year was very intense. And then, she kind of went from having constant, because she couldn't have the surgery until she was 3 months old. so in the meantime, she was having urinary tract infections. And then it seemed like after her kidney surgery, then her ear infections started. So it was definitely, and then trying to raise our daughter the way we thought was best. Well, taking his way of raising and my way of raising. There was quite a bit of arguments, wasn't there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough on us. So number 8 is, what advice would you give newlyweds? So I'm going to let Brian answer this question first. Be sure to speak up so they can hear. What advice would you give newlyweds?
If you don't know Christ, accept Christ, have a relationship with Christ, and have Christ in the middle of your marriage. Because if you have Christ in the middle of your marriage, you can get through anything that goes. If you don't have Christ in the middle of your marriage, I don't think the percentage of people making it is much. That's just my opinion.
That's a good one. Now, Brian really thought about his question there. He got deep on us. My answer was, what advice would you give newlyweds? My advice was, get separate bank accounts. Do not share a bank account, or if you do share a bank account, only let one person carry the book and the card. Don't let the other one doesn't need it. Or switch out, don't each of you have a card and each of you going and spending it, because it's hard to keep track of what the other one's spending. Like my husband and I could both go out and be with our families, and he could be at one restaurant and have a bill for $30, and I at another restaurant have a bill for $30, and unless you're communicating it and you don't ever forget to tell each other, write that down in the book, take it that this much came out of our bank account. That's what I would say. I would say get separate bank accounts, or only one person carry the card or checks or whatever it is that you use. So mine wasn't as deep as Brian's, but it was still a small bit of advice. Okay, so then number 9, what kind of couple are you?
What do you mean by that?
He wants to know what I mean by that. Well, I would say that, you know, we like to laugh.
Mm-hmm.
We really enjoy laughing a lot. We're definitely not as wound tight as we were when we were younger. I don't think. I think we were really, you're young, you're spirited, you think your way's it, and that's the only way. Now we're definitely more relaxed now. And then I think that we're we try to be a good godly couple. That
Not all. We haven't always been
no,
that.
we haven't always been that. Definitely not always been that. We come to Christ about. I mean, my mama. I was not raised in a church, but I can remember my mama singing hymns, my mama making us pray at night before we went to bed. So I thought I had the Lord, but I didn't really go to the Lord and try to live for the Lord. To me, that's when you're trying to live for the Lord. That's when you know you're with Christ. And what do you think?
Yeah.
And it's been about how many years ago?
6 years.
I'd say 6 or 7 years ago.
Since
It's not. It's over 5.
15.
Okay,
So 6 years. Yeah.
6 years
Well, going on 6 years.
is when we completely started trying to live for Christ, and not for our flesh. And what was my point in telling them that? Do you remember? Oh, what kind of couple are we?
Yeah.
I think, and I agree with Brian about the couple. I mean, about having God. We enjoy studying together, studying the Lord, and we pray together. And I think that's what kind of couple we are. And then he is extremely stubborn. He's extremely stubborn. So, we enjoy laughing a lot. We're not a very serious couple. We enjoy laughing.
Yeah.
We're kind of dorks, aren't we?
Laughing.
Laughing at the little things.
Yeah, laughing's good medicine.
Yes, it is.
You know, if you got peace with Christ, you get joy.
Mm-hmm.
Joy comes in the morning.
Yep. So number 10 is, do y'all go on dates still? What, once a year? Not our honeymoon, but our anniversary.
Every now and then we get to go. We try to. We need to do it more often, but
In case y'all didn't know this, but Brian and I have, do we have 6 or 7? 6. Excuse me.
Would have been 7.
It would have been 7. Yes, we have 6 living children and we have 1 in heaven. And so the first, 4 years? 5 years? 5 years. Yeah. It was, our oldest was born, then 2 years later, our second, then 2 years later, our third, then 2 years later, our fourth.
He was born in 98. And Bailey was born in 99.
So they were right, they weren't exactly
Almost
2 years, but right around.
Now
And see, in the marriage,
February.
he's the exact one. I'm the one that's like around, not exact. Or I'll say, we're going up there. And he's like, actually, that's down, not up. So he's the exact one. I'm the guesser. So we had 4 kids that were right around 2 years apart. And then Kagan and Mason, there was a big 7-year age gap.
Yes. And it's like learning all
Yeah,
over again.
and let me tell y'all, so many different things come out, that are brand new, on the market and stuff like that when you wait 7 years to have a child. And then was it 4 or 5 years, 3 when Aurora came? 3 or 4? 3 or 4?
5.
3 or 4, I think. Because
He's 9 and she just turned
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 4.
She just turned 5, so.
Yeah, so 4 years. About 4 years. So then 4 years later, the last, which was the 6th, came along. And the 7th baby, well, that was before our 5th child was born. But that's in heaven. But Aurora, the one y'all see on the videos all the time, she's the baby, and the last. But anyway, I do have some great news.
Yeah.
To share with all my sisters and brothers that are out there. So we just found out that my husband is going to be a grandpa.
Yay.
And this is going to be his first grandchild, my first grandchild. But see, I'm not going to be a grandma. I'm a toddy. I'm going to be a
Still
toddy.
A grandma.
Oh, it's a toddy.
Still a grandma.
It's a toddy.
The same thing. Grandma. Getting old.
So, this is our very, very first grandchild, and it is from my 3rd child, my 2nd son, and they're very young. I say very young, they're about the same age. My son is the same age, he's 18, that I was.
19. He's 19.
Not yet. In May, he'll be 19.
Might as well say 19.
He's 18. See, I told y'all he's the one that always has to be exactly exact on things. Anyway, he is 18, and And you know, a lot of people may be upset. And it's not, I kind of wish he was more in a stable life environment right now. But I look back, Brian and I did it. A lot of people do it. Some people even younger than us do it. It can be done. And I know we raised him right. And I know the girl that he's with right now, I love her. She's a very, very sweet girl, and it's going to be okay. There's going to be some bumps and some hiccups, but it's all going to be okay in the end. I mean, how can you be upset over a baby? How can you? It's not a mistake. I mean, their actions were the mistake, but the baby's not the mistake.
You just gotta repent, ask for forgiveness, and make it right.
That's right. Okay, everybody. Thank y'all for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed this little get to know me and this tag. And I hope I would like to get to know each one of y'all some. So I hope y'all take off and do this tag on y'all's channel so I can watch. Thank you all. God bless and good night.